Hey CrossFit INGUZ, Friday's workout is eHarmony. We've got one round for time of 30 deadlifts, 30 Russian swings, 30 goblet squats, 30 hang squat cleans, 30 power snatch, and 30 overhead squats. This is meant to be performed with a single dumbbell. We're going to talk about a barbell option as well. Now at the top of every minute, including the start of the workout, we're going to perform 5 burpees. So at 3, 2, 1, go, we start with those 5 burpees, and then we start chipping away at those 30 reps of each of those movements. At the top of each minute, we're going to stop where we are and complete 5 burpees. As soon as we finish those 5 reps, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're looking for this workout to take somewhere between 12 and 16 minutes, which means we want those 5 burpees to take no more than 20 seconds, leaving us 40 seconds to work through the other movements. Now, if we're working with a barbell today, we're going to swap out the first 2 movements, the deadlift and the Russian swing, and we're going to replace it with 30 reps of a sumo deadlift high pull. The goblet squats will be front squats, and then everything else is the same: hang squat cleans, power snatch, and overhead squats. We want our weight on the barbell to be light today. Probably 95-65 would be prescribed in the gym. We want to be able to cycle the barbell and hold on for big sets when we have the opportunity to work through those movements. With the 5 burpees at the top of each minute, try to limit yourself to 1 break on the barbell or the dumbbell to maximize the amount of time you spend accumulating those reps.
We're going to start with the dumbbell warm-up. If you have a barbell, you can do the same variation. Andrew's going to start with that dumbbell on his traps, and we're going to do 5 good mornings. We're going to hinge those hips back, getting a good stretch to those hamstrings. With that dumbbell still on your traps, walk your feet out. 5 back squats, making sure to drive those knees out. Keep that chest nice and tall. From there, we're going to set that dumbbell down and do a tricep stretch. So we're going to grab the opposite elbow, pulling up, holding for about 5 seconds on either side, getting good stretch to that tricep. From there, we're going to pick the dumbbell back up, holding it with 2 hands, and do 5 strict press. Little reach at the top to get a good stretch through those shoulders. From there, we're going to turn the dumbbell over, holding it in a goblet squat, keeping those elbows nice and tight. So 5 goblet squats, again, working to get that full depth. From there, we're going to choose a side and do 5 deadlifts or RDLs on either side. So switching after 5, again, getting a good stretch through those hamstrings.
Okay, we're going to walk through each of the movements in eHarmony, first starting with the single dumbbell version, and then we'll do the same for the barbell. So the first movement is a deadlift. If we're performing this with the single dumbbell, it's going to start between the feet with both heads touching. We're lowering from the ground to a standing position, making sure to open up the hips at the top, and then touching the ground at the bottom of that movement. For the deadlift, we're going to alternate arms every 5 reps. So you do 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and you're just going to switch back and forth until you get to the 30 total. The second movement is the Russian swing. So we're going to hold the dumbbell in the center by the handle. We want to drive the power from the hips in that hinge position, snapping the hips closed to get the momentum on that dumbbell up, and we're just coming up to eye level. After the Russian swing, we're going to a goblet squat. So we're holding that dumbbell in a goblet position, nice and close to the chest with the elbows pinned. Our feet are just outside shoulder width. We want to get full depth in that squat, making sure the crease of our hip is below the knee, and then coming up to a standing position at the top. Try to keep your chest upright as we go through this movement. After the goblet squat, we're moving on to a hang squat clean. So for the dumbbell, our hang position is going to be between the legs. And in this one, we're going to alternate arms every single rep. So as she comes off the shoulder, she's switching hands and then going into that next rep. We want to catch in a full squat before standing up to finish that rep. After the hang squat cleans, we're going to go into a power snatch. So this is going from the ground to an overhead position. And just like the hang squat clean, we're going to alternate arms every single rep. So we want to be explosive on the way up, jumping at the top, and then snapping that hand through, finishing in a locked out position overhead with the bicep nice and tight to the ear. You can either alternate arms in mid-air, or you can bring it down to the floor if you want this to be a little bit more controlled. But remember, we are on the clock with those burpees coming up at the top of each minute, so try to be efficient as you're alternating through those reps. Our last movement is the overhead squat. So basically we're starting in our finished position of that power snatch, and then we're going through a full squat, trying to keep that dumbbell nice and stacked over the shoulder. Focus on keeping that arm, that elbow locked out nice and strong as we go through this movement. The tendency is going to be to want to bend the elbow as we go through that squat. For this movement, we're going to alternate arms every 5 reps. So it'll be 5 on one side, followed by 5 on the other until you get to 30. If this overhead squat movement is just too challenging for you, we're going to drop the dumbbell to our shoulder and just do a regular squat with the dumbbell resting on the shoulder. Again, it would be 30 reps, and you could switch the shoulder position every 5, just like we're doing for the hand position for the overhead squat. So now we'll run through the barbell version of eHarmony. So we're gonna swap out the first 2 movements, the deadlift and the Russian swings, for 30 reps of a sumo deadlift high pull. So for the sumo deadlift high pull, we're setting up with a wider stance, so we're outside shoulder width, and our hands are going to be narrower on the bar. We want our arms to be inside of our knees. All right, to execute this movement, we're going to go through a deadlift, jump at the top, and then elbows are going to come high and outside until that bar gets to right about at our collarbone. So full speed. We want to use that momentum from the deadlift, be explosive at the top of the movement, and then allow those arms to follow high and outside. On the way down, our arms extend before we lower that bar back down to the floor. From there, we're going to go into a front squat. So standard front squat position, we want to get that bar on the shoulders in that loose fingertip grip with our elbows up nice and high. Hips go back, chest stays tall as we go through that squatting movement. 30 reps. Try to keep leading with those elbows as we come out of our squat. After that front squat, we're going to go to a hang squat clean. So we'll start the movement with a deadlift to a standing position, and then our hang position can be anywhere from the crease of the hip to just above the knee. We'll go through that jump at the top, catch in a full squat, and then stand up to finish the rep. From the hang squat clean, we're going to move on to a power snatch. So this will go from the ground to an overhead position in one fluid motion. So we're taking a wider grip on the bar, going through that deadlift, jumping when the bar gets to our hips, and then punching through to finish in that overhead position, catching in a quarter squat, and then standing all the way up to finish that rep. After the power snatch, we're gonna finish with an overhead squat, 30 reps. So finish position of the power snatch is the start of our overhead squat. Again, going through that full squat, making sure that those arms are locked out, and we're in a nice stable position with that bar stacked over the shoulders, nice and balanced as we go through the full bottom of the squat and then standing back up. The workout finishes when you complete that last rep of the 30 overhead squats. Regardless of if we're using a dumbbell or a barbell today, at the top of each minute, we're gonna stop where we are and complete 5 burpees. Now don't waste a lot of time walking around to find a spot to do those burpees. If you're using the barbell, just take a step back and get right to them. Same thing with the dumbbell, place it down and then drop down for those burpees so we're not wasting too much time moving around, and we can get back to accumulating reps through that round on the barbell or dumbbell.